Great. Good morning, everyone. It starts like a really nice story. Not too long ago, a few months ago, I met an amazing woman, and I fell in love. That's a good story. And slowly but surely, as two people meet, they want to move together. So we decided to move together. And there was one concession I needed to do. She told me just before we moved together, I have 2 dogs, and those 2 dogs will have to live with you. And I come from the country, and in my head, dogs are not really meant to be in a city, in a house. I'm not used to have dogs in the city. I thought dogs were meant to be outside in the wild, running, being in the bush, and just being kind of wild. And I welcome in my house those 2 little cutie dogs. They don't always dress like this. This was Halloween. 2 Italian greyhounds. And the more I spent time with them, the more I fell in love with them, of course. And the more I realized those dogs were not meant to be in the bush. Those dogs were meant to be in a house. Seems like they got designed to be cuddling and be inside. And they're even discomfort at any temperature under 24, over 25 degrees Celsius. They're like little bugs of houses that like care, attention, that needs to be fed, needs to be taken care of. If I put those dogs in the forest, in the bush, they wouldn't survive for much more than probably 48 hours. As long, like that would be the longest, probably 24 hours even, if it's cold outside. So when I look at those dogs and I look at all the different, there's now I think 335 different species of dogs we have today. When I think about all of those, I wonder what created them? What happened? Because those dogs, their grandfather of all of those dog species is one grandfather that we call today the great wolf, right? So from the great wolf, we went down to all of those different species of dogs. And only us created them. We, as humans, are responsible and caretaker of their genome. Their future is in our hand, and we created those dogs. Some of those dogs are so uncomfortable in the way they are that they have liver problems. Like this teco here, like it looks good, it looks fine, but it's not really nice to be a teco. It's living a lot of discomfort. Their organs are really compressed. Their lifespan is a bit shorter than most of dogs. And there's other dogs that can't even reproduce themselves. We have to actually help them reproduce. Some dogs have hips problems and things like this. So we create all of those kind of species of dogs that can't really be wild in the bush anymore. Like you'll never walk in the forest and encounter a wild Chihuahua, right? It won't happen. Don't even think about it. It's just not gonna be there, okay? Those dogs have been kind of carried away from their original DNA, and they came out to be those highly super domesticated animals. And what's amazing when I think about it is that in the wolf, in the DNA of the wolf, there was already all of this potential of different shapes and sizes that all the dogs we have today. So I'm not here to talk about dogs today. I'm here to talk about food, of course. But I like to use dogs because just like food, it's kind of the same thing we did to food. We went from wild, amazingly potent, absolutely strong, acidic or bitter foods, and slowly with the thousands and thousands of years of agriculture, we came down to foods that's really entertaining, that's really yummy, that's really sweet, but that is less powerful, and that can't really survive in the forest either. So you'll never see right now, when you go walk in the bush or in the mountain or in the forest or anywhere in the world, if you're in the wild, you'll never walk and say, oh, honey, look, there's a carrot growing. Oh, look, an eggplant is right there growing. It's not happening. And you'll never see an eggplant growing, ever. You'll see it only in a place where we actually take care of it and we do agriculture. Because eggplants are not meant to live in the bush. Just like Chihuahua or just like French Bulldog, for example. Okay? So you see this is an apple. And apples before did not existed in North America. Did not existed in Asia either. Apples, the only place we could see apples was in a place in the Middle East that we call today Kazakhstan. That's where it grew, right? And it was really, really acidic, not really sweet, kind of bitter, with a lot of information, with a lot of actually phytonutrients, a lot of minerals, really potent for our health, but not really yummy. So slowly we made it entertaining and sweet. And the thing is that what we did with apples, we did it with many foods. There's an eggplant. You see the green thing on the left is an eggplant. This is a wild eggplant. That's where it's from. So the green eggplant there is like the wolf for the eggplant. This eggplant on the left was super, super antimicrobial. We used it to actually heal people who had like a lot of disease and antiviral and things like this. It was really potent. Tons of minerals in it. And now we have an eggplant that's more, again, interesting, acceptable for the palate, but not super, super rich in information for your body. Same thing with carrots. Wild carrot on the left, that Native American used as a contraceptive, really, really strong contraceptive, that is still used today in herbology. Okay? And now we have this awesome orange carrots that are sweet and yum. The thing with sweet is that we love it. We transform our food and we took all of the bitters and all of the acidic taste and we brought the sweetness up and up and up. And because sugar is an enemy in nature and also in our body, it's always being eaten by any parasites or anything. So because the sugar is so high content in our food today, we need to take care of it. We need to pamper it. It needs to have a lot of care, a lot of attention. That's why you'll never see these food growing anywhere else than where humans are taking care of them. Why I'm talking about all this is because us as humans, a bit like dogs and a bit like the food, we are becoming also domesticated. We call ourselves Homo sapiens sapiens. I like to call ourselves Homo sapiens sapiens domesticus, because that's what we are. That's what we are because just like the dogs and just like the food, what we eat and our environment that we surround ourselves with is actually exactly what's going to change our DNA slowly and what makes us evolve in the future. And slowly, we're losing our skills. We're losing our skills of surviving in forests. We're losing our skills of climbing in trees. We're losing a little bit of our instinct also because we're really stimulated really intellectually, but less in our body. We're less listening to our body also in regards of eating things and knowing what's good for us. We're more and more stimulated up here. So slowly, we're becoming domesticated, just like the dogs and the wild carrots that became these carrots right there. So the question today is like, okay, now that I know this, how can I change something about it? How can I be a bit more responsible of my genome? Because everything I do every day and everything I eat every day is an information that I'm sending to my body. And my kids will always be better at doing what I'm doing, always. We know this. If we're good on the computer, our kids will be better on the computer also. If we're good at climbing trees, our kids will slowly be better at climbing trees because we learn our DNA is changing, is actually transforming throughout our ages, throughout our years, depending on what we're doing with it. So every single day you have a choice. You can either, take a food that will domesticate you more, or go towards food that will wild you more, get you a bit wilder, get you a bit closer to nature. And because we kind of extracted nature from our life, like when we look where we are right now, we're standing, there's not much ground, there's not much soil, there's not much trees around. We totally extracted the nature from our life. And to get back to it in the city, most of the time, the only thing that looks like nature is the food we eat. But if this exact food that we eat has no seeds, for example, like seedless grapes that are really functional and nice because they're not annoying to eat. It's nice, there's no seeds. It's interesting, but do we think about the fact that we're eating a food that has no system of reproduction, that can't reproduce, just like those French bulldog that can't reproduce, right? And then we look at statistics, a French study that says that between 1989 and 2005, we actually lost our sperm count in men. The average sperm count went down from 30%. And that's still going on right now, right? So where's the link? How do we actually take control of our future? And everything we put something in our mouth is a reflection of what we want to be. And everything we eat, even if it's colorful and full of beauty, the inside sometimes is empty. So what's the trick now? When you go in a grocery store, as much as you know instinctively, if I tell you which dogs between a lab or a husky or a chihuahua will live longer in forest if I put them in the bush like this. Instinctively, everyone in the room here kind of knows that the husky will live longer because we know that his DNA is a bit closer to his true nature. So when you're going to go in a grocery store, you'll try to look for the food that seems, that instinctively, for some of us, that actually is closer to its true nature. So if you have a choice between an iceberg lettuce, for example, or arugula, then you'll just know kind of that arugula was, I don't know if you'll know, but I'll know that arugula was actually closer to its true nature. You look for food that you've seen in nature. If you look at raspberries and blueberries, for example, we know those foods still grow in nature. And there's a whole trend about superfoods. Everybody talks about superfoods these days. So that's a superfood to me. A superfood is not any kind of food. It's a food that can grow without the help of humans. That's all. As long as a food can actually grow by itself and can actually defend itself from natural environment, from changes in temperature, from pests, from animals eating them, it needs to create an immune system. It needs to have more minerals from the ground to actually be stronger and more potent. So when we eat those foods, we actually for sure, 100%, if you eat a food that is more wild, that actually can grow outside, it would have 5 to 10 times more phytonutrients for you, more minerals for you, that are helping you to defend yourself from the environment. That's interesting. So that's the idea. So when you think about blueberries, raspberries, spirulina, chlorella, burdock root, dandelion, they all taste intense. It's all stuff that really tastes a lot. Turmeric root, for example. It tastes a lot and it's really, really potent. So I'm not saying to not eat vegetables. I'm not saying to, just try to find wild foods and eat like a gorilla all the time, but to add those food in your diet and not making a diet. So I'm not saying to, put foods away. I'm saying to slowly but surely try to find some nature to your food. Try to add some good stuff in your plate. More colors, but mostly more food that really is wild so that you can actually rewild yourself a little. Thanks a lot.